this up by asking two questions.
Sure.
Number one, obviously, people know, as I've said, you've filed these civil suits to try to clear your father's name, and a lot of them have had money has been involved. You say yourself that you are not didn't become rich off of this, and if somebody has the money to fund this, to look more into this, you'll be glad to hear from them. Does bringing these civil trials after your father's dead and your mother's gone, obviously, and you're not financially well off, as a lot of doctors' kids are, forgive me for asking, but does money, is this about money?
Absolutely not. I was shocked. I mean, that's the line of some of these, Brent Larkin of the Cleveland Press and some of these old-timers want to discredit me. I was confronted on the Today Show by Matt Lauer. I call it my Matt Lauer moment. I was just stunned, on national TV. I was like a deer in the headlights. Okay, well, Mr. Lauer, what would you do with a 7-year-old child if your mother was murdered? She was pregnant. It's a horrible murder. Your father wanted to execute your father. Almost executed him. What would you do? Go for the money? Right. Unbelievable. But that's the excuse of some of these people. Money runs our society, I guess.
If it's not about money, as people have said, what is your main reason for filing these civil trials? Because I think most people would say, who are of that belief, that your father was, in the end, found not guilty, and he was released from prison, and he's gone now for 40 years. So what's the reason for bringing these civil trials?
Well, the civil trial, we lost, by the way, was trying to honorably solve the case. I mean, I wanted to solve the case, find out who did it, and in our society, not guilty does not mean innocent. And proving innocence is an unattainable philosophical viewpoint. And I pushed this in the corner, said, prove he's not guilty, and that's impossible. And then there's this whole tide of power in Cuyahoga County, which has their identity in the Sheppard case. Some of these people made their careers on the Sheppard case, and still are.
Sam, you said earlier on in this interview that if somebody ever wanted to help fund a look into this case, get in contact, because you don't have the money to do that at this point. If somebody...
Well, excuse me there. I don't mean just money. What I mean is evidence of seeing Dr.
Yes.
Mr. Call. We do have some... we've had some inklings over the years that there were a couple witnesses on the beach that night, next door in the Huntington Park. Unfortunately, they were women having affairs and couldn't risk their lives about that. So, I'm interested in solving the case, and the only way, but these things take money. And my only mentioning money is in the sense of I can't pay for it. But if people have evidence, please bring it in.
And to say that is to say this, to ask this question. If somebody were able to come with money, evidence, whatever it were, and help solve this case as it were, change it from what it is now, would you, if the person came to you and said, I want to look into filing some sort of case or doing some kind of investigation or something of that nature, and they were willing to fund it, would you say, as long as it was overturned, as long as it was turned to innocent instead of not guilty, as long as your father's name was clearly cleared in most people's minds, would you say that a civil financial result in a trial would not be necessary?
Now that's a tall order. okay? Now, number one, there is an investigation going on of some sort. I can't talk about it. Again, money talks in our society. I and my family were severely damaged by all of this. So, I'm not saying that if we were able to definitively prove that, and if we could say to the state, hey, maybe you should pay my medical bills for the rest of my life and a place to live, how fair is that?
I just wanted to throw that out there. I mean,
that's okay.
Yeah, what you...
But again, my stipulation there would be no stipulation, as I have with these people who are going ahead with their theory. In my agreement with them essentially is, go for it. If I can help, I will. See what you can prove.
Can you tell us who these people are?
I can't. No.
And not anything about what they're... When will we know anything about it?
Maybe never. I don't know.
Okay.
It's serious enough that some people have talked to me about it, and there are some hanging evidentiary questions out there, but we're probably pretty well shot in court. They really cut off our legal avenues, so I doubt that we'll have another legal trial. Maybe there would be an academic trial, like they've done with some famous cases or something like that. But, it's pretty thin out there right now. Okay. We've done our best.
Let me just ask this question, Sam. Why is it important that these people remain anonymous?
Because that's my promise to them. Right now.
Can you say why they want to remain anonymous? Why they've asked you to do that?
Well, because publicity has been part of the problem in this case from day one. Okay.
I understand, Sam. This has been a fascinating hour. I've got to tell you, I was not alive when this all happened. I am fascinated with your answers. I am fascinated with this case. I think the listeners have been fascinated. I know you don't do these interviews often, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this, because I have been fascinated and intrigued for the last hour, but I have to ask you this question as we wrap up. We kind of know who your father believed may have done it. We know who Ethel Bailey may have believed who did it. We know who Cuyahoga County believes did it. We have a lot of suspects on the table. Who does Sam Reese Sheppard believe did it? Who do you believe?
At this point, I'm really not pushing a specific agenda. Maybe I'll leave it in my will, but I want everything to be open about it. If people are going to investigate this, I don't want to get in the way.
Do you have?
I'm leaning, towards Everlane, but major call, possibly. I doubt the House. That's about all I can say at this point.
Any chance in your mind that your father did it?
Absolutely not. My dad would have committed suicide if he had. He could not have been the honorable man and loving father that he was to me. He couldn't have survived 10 years in the old Ohio State Penitentiary. It was a hellhole in there in those days. This was before prison reform. Absolutely not.
Sam, as I say, you've been so candid, and I appreciate it.